Hey everybody, so we're here with Cedric Schnitzler running for the 95th Assembly District here. We caught him between knocking doors and working, so we're happy to be able to get him here and answer some questions for our chamber members. So thank you for coming. Initially, the first question we have is tell us about yourself and why you're running for state assembly.
Well, I'm Cedric Schnitzler. Obviously, I was born and raised in Monroe County. My father was a self-employed individual. My mother was involved in the union, a local factory. Um, Started dairy farming when I was 16, $3,000 loan. Milk cows for 30 years. Married, 3 kids, have disabled kids. We're a caregiver for them. Run a beef operation a little bit with my brother now. Um, like I say, married, my wife Jane, um, and currently serving, on the Monroe County Board as chair. Have been on the board since the age of 26, basically on and off. Town board chairman as well for a while to the town of Sparta. Um, I take a look as far as running for the office. Is one, it's a new district. Um, it's 65% new, and for the 95th. But I've always served at the county level, state and township level, and I truly see the disconnect between Madison and local.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there needs to be a bridge that here's the people at the local level and votes with the local level and representing them. And so, not too long ago, I was in the grocery store getting groceries, and I ran into a classmate I hadn't seen for a couple of years, probably. She goes, "Why are you running?" And I said, "You want the long answer, the short answer?" And I said, she goes, "Give me the short one. I got to get home to the kids." I said, "Well, the short answer is I still care. It's not about paycheck. It's not about plaques. It's about caring." So I threw my hat in the race because I really just want to be a seat at the table to help solve problems, both locally, from the bottom up, not top down.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. So you kind of touched on it, how new the district is, but tell us about the district you're running to represent. 95th has originally kind of just been City of La Crosse. Now it extends over to Monroe County. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a unique district. It's really kind of a cross section, almost representing what the United States is, if you want to get down to it, or even what the state of Wisconsin is. You have City of La Crosse, which is great. You've got a lot of great residents there. You got Town of Campbell. You've got down in the city of Sparta, Fort McCoy workers living there, obviously attached to there. And then it's got farmers. It's got rural agriculture, tourism, factories. It's a cross section, really, of everything included. And it goes all the way down into the Brookwood School District, if you will, NOW, or Norwalk, Sheldon Township. So it's a different, unique district, but it's a true cross section of Wisconsin, cross section of Wisconsin, the United States. So that makes it unique.
Yeah, it's a nice, cool district now. So tell us, what do you think the biggest issue is facing the La Crosse area community, the businesses, and when you're out knocking doors, what do you hear from local businesses? What's the biggest issue facing them in Western Wisconsin?
Well, when I'm talking to individuals, and I've been in, whether it's been on the front lawn, the doorstep, sitting down, talking with the gentleman in his garage. He was looking at his match collection at the time. But anyway, um, what I hear from the La Crosse area, and again, I'm in the, I'm actually more than La Crosse area, but just specifically the La Crosse, is the homeless issue. Um, and that's the number one issue that's out there. And if you're in the town of Campbell, it's clean water.
Mm-hmm.
Touching on the clean water issue, that is just something that needs to be resolved. There's no question about that. But those two there, like I say, homeless, clean water. Um, there's this impact of trying to draw in more people when it comes to work. We need more workers.
Yeah.
There's a shortage there, and that was one of those things that's been brought up a few times, not as heavy. Um, and obviously, childcare is something that's out there as well. So. Okay.
Yeah, you kind of touched on my next question, but the cost of healthcare, housing, and childcare are some of the largest issues facing our local employees and employers. What would you do to help decrease these everyday costs?
Well, the healthcare, I just give you kind of a personal story on this one. And I was a dairy farmer. So as a dairy farmer, healthcare was always a struggle. And We actually bought our own and had our own company. Not when I say own company, own healthcare. And without names, I remember sitting at our kitchen table. It was renewal day, and we have our oldest daughter at that time was a little younger gal, but she happened to walk across in front of the agent, if you will, and we were just about ready to sign the papers, give the checks, and the individual looked at me and he says, "Do you have mental health issues with your daughter?" I don't know how to put it. He says, and I said, "Yeah, we do." And at that point, he shut the book and he said, "We're not going to reinsure you. We didn't know that." And that was when pre-existing conditions or mental health could be a refusal. And so I experienced in firsthand what that was like. And I still remember the panic almost set in at the moment at the table because I said, "Hey, I'm going to pay the pay,
Yeah.
but you're going to say no." And his response was, "You got Badger Care, go there." So, you know, for the uninsured on the lower end of income, there's a Badger Care, and I think that's something that has to be kept. It has to be worked with, and it helps those that so they don't fall through the system.
Yeah.
And I say that experience. I was a dairy farmer, working all the time, paying my bills, wanted to keep on it, but I was told to go there by the insurance company. So I really feel that that's one of the things that we need to do is make sure that Badger Care is solvent and ongoing. And that's part of that. The child care.
Yep.
Child care. I mean, it's a no brainer. First of all, you can't attract workers. I sit on the child that was involved with Toma Health here for a couple of meetings on the child care problem that we're experiencing in Monroe County. We only have one child care in Sparta.
Wow.
One facility. And in COVID, we kept it open. They had probably some issues like everybody else did. We let the fund, the repayments stretched out a little because they were through the revolving loan fund. We needed to keep there. So, but to the bigger picture, there needs to be some tax credits to the parents, single parents or married couples that have children that want health care. There needs to have some credits and back to the owners of child care so that they are able to pay their staff the necessary cost or as far as having a reasonable salary for the workers. Those are two big things that would go a long way.
Yeah.
And that's not big government doing anything for them. It's just getting out of the way and letting them do it. Don't take their money. Let them have that. So that's definitely something that I would look at for childcare. And that's one of those things. Otherwise, we got to concentrate on a lot of other things, getting ourselves cleaned up around the area so people want to come, not just to play, but to stay. And that's kind of the model of Monroe County. And I think La Crosse is trying to do the same as well.
I agree with all that. So, one of the questions I wanted to ask, and it's because this past week the state auditor found $4.1 billion, but every candidate's kind of brought it up in these interviews. But the state of Wisconsin has a $4.1 billion surplus. If elected to the state assembly, what would you do with that?
Well, first thing I would go back and say for two consecutive biennial budgets, we've had surplus of taxpayer money in Madison. And the first thing I would say is I don't want to be going out there like, paraphrase, a bunch of drunken sailors and spending it unwisely. I think that's not where we need to start. But I do think that I talk to residents out there. They're wanting capital expenditures money. I mean, there's seniors that need some tax breaks because they're pinched with inflation. There's families that are pinched because of childcare or inflation. There's not enough money for the rent, or there's not enough money for groceries. They're stretched, even getting a vacation. But the point is, those individuals probably should have some of that money back. They paid it; it's overpayment. But I think really, when you get into the long-term commitment, I really believe that ARIP and that's getting these local roads monies back to there. Broadband is a underfunded. I know we're trying to do more and more there, but that's infrastructure that reaches out to the rural. It reaches even to the city individuals, businesses, entrepreneurs that want that new fiber. That's going to make a big difference and grow the economy, create jobs. So broadband is one of those things. It's kind of like rural for electrification. You can't just wait for somebody else to do it. The government's going to have to work with you to get it there.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we'd still have candles and kerosene on dead ends. It's just how it went. It's the same thing with broadband. But so broadband infrastructure, roads, bridges, we need to put that money into that. And I don't want to break the bank. I'm a firm believer in keeping a reserve, a cookie jar, pay our debts off as well.
Mhm.
But it's being conserved. There's a lot of money in the state as it is right now that sometimes they're not even spending. And we can go into like the town of Campbell. They got money sitting there that they need to get to the town of Campbell.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. It isn't a Republican, it ain't a Democrat issue. It's called clean water issue. It's not about who gets the credit. It's about just getting it done. And town of Campbell, they deserve water. They need water, and it should have been done yesterday.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. So my last question is, in an increasingly polarized political climate, voters are concerned about the lack of civility and collaboration among elected officials. How would you work to foster a culture of respect and constructive dialogue within the state capitol? And how would you engage with constituents who hold opposing views to ensure their voices are heard?
Well, first of all, as the township chair, and I'll say even got into the leadership of the county board chair, one of the things that I've always felt is that you govern by consensus. Everybody has a place at the table. Everybody has a say at the table. You put it into the punch bowl. You make that sausage, if you will, at the end of it. But a month or so ago, or whatever it was, I was at a function, and they asked me the same question: How are you going to deal with polarization, and how are you going to deal with that extreme here or that extreme there? Well, I said, compromise isn't a bad word. Compromise, and as in, don't compromise those things that are not compromisable. And I don't want to go into that laundry list, but there's certainly consensus and compromise that we should be able to do on, fiscal issues, and it doesn't need to be polarizing. It just needs to be adults around the table talking. But as I told that one questionnaire, that I said, any of us that have been married or in the process of getting married, you're going to find out the word compromise. It's not simple. It's not complicated. It's simple. Compromise is not a dirty word. If you've been married, it happens. So you don't always get your own way. It's a real life fact. But I think that's the most important thing is accepting other people's opinions and adding, I always tell board members that it's making sausage. Everybody's bringing something to the pot, put it all together, and at the end of the day, we have a sausage made.
Absolutely.
You don't know what the ingredients are until you get it put together. But
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank you for coming to the lacrosse chamber today, and thank you for answering our questions. I want to give you an opportunity to give a closing statement to our members.
Well, over the last couple of months, last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of door-to-door in lacrosse, and ironically, I just finished here yesterday, putting up the last sign, knocking on the last door in certain areas, whether it was French Island or down by the old Kmart or right around the UW system. It's been a real privilege to get out there and meet people in their doorways, on their doorsteps, yards, garages, hearing what they want or desire to see out of their government at the state level. And I just want to encourage voters to get out, support me. I want to be their voice from the bottom up, not the top down. And like I say, lacrosse is just a great area to call home for the Cooley region. And with that, I guess I just say thanks for the opportunity for an interview. I appreciate that greatly.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. And Cedric Schnitzler running to represent the 95th Assembly District.